the workout so you don't have like a fire drill in the morning, but getting into the routine.
And you also, probably, if you're kind of like me, you've watched your kids now evolve and grow a little bit. So like the summer was the first summer that Austin, my son, learned to sleep late. They'll stay up late, sleep late. He used to be the kid who would go to bed early, even during the summer, and was up at like 6:30, 7 a.m. So you and I'd be sitting here doing the show during the summer. He texted me. This summer was his first. So now maybe for some people they're having to see, oh, my child has grown a little bit. Waking them up in the morning, they're a bit of an angry monster to go in and try and have to deal with.
Yeah. You're going to have to go back and wake them up twice, go back in, tell them I'm not playing with you, threaten them with a glass of water, whatever it is that you got to do to them to wake them up in the morning. You're just getting into that. You're getting into that.
And like anything else that we get into, a good old quarterback competition, Preston Thorn, that we'll talk a lot about this morning. Robbie Ashford and Lenore Sellers. I'm going to state it. This is a great thing. I still think Lenore Sellers. Well, I don't think. I guess I think. I don't know. But Lenore Sellers will be the starter in game one. But a quarterback competition is healthy for the football team. It's healthy for the program. It's healthy for this coming season.
Yes, if it's a healthy competition.
Okay.
If it's not a healthy competition, it could split a team down the middle. And so that's what's really interesting about this, because I do think this is characterized as a healthy competition. But we'll see. But Bill, that's not the main topic.
Oh, I'm not bearing the lead just yet. No. I was just setting up what we were going to talk about a little bit more. Unfortunately for Preston Thorn, his guy has hit the shelf. They're putting him on the shelf for a little while. Something that I can relate to, a meniscus tear, is going to sideline old J.J. McCarthy.
Grand opening, grand closing. This is a tough day for me yesterday, because I believe I'm on record saying that's my guy. We're going to start, win the NFC Central. We're going all the way. And now he's on the shelf. I'll work through this throughout the show. I'll come to grips with all my emotions throughout the show, but it was a rough one yesterday. I couldn't believe when I saw the headline pop up on my phone.
I felt bad for you. Apparently not bad enough to check on you, but
it's okay.
I felt for you. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy. Now, it is kind of interesting because it was yesterday that I think it was yesterday that Kevin O'Connell basically said, this was just usual soreness after a preseason game.
I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
And now it comes out that J.J. McCarthy has a torn meniscus in his right knee, and they will make a final determination as to what his season will entail once he undergoes surgery this week. They will decide whether he needs just to trim it or whether he will have to have it, I guess, taken out is what they do. And if he has to have that, a full repair could sideline him until 2025. So, yes, grand opening, and it was glorious. Grand closing, and it sounds distraught for you.
This might not be a bad thing. I'll talk about it later. This might not be the worst thing that could have happened to us.
Us, by the way, if you're wondering, is the newfound Viking fan. I believe it's Skull leader Preston Thorn, if you're wondering what us in this instance means. So that was some news from yesterday as it pertained to the NFL. We'll get into more of that as Preston Thorn talked about some injuries across college football. Preston Thorn, that's there's a couple ways we'll talk about this. One of them has come another one has come at Texas. Another one has come at Kentucky yesterday. Right now, you mentioned it, we don't want to jinx anybody. We're about halfway through. Today's the 14th. We are just about halfway through fall camp, and really, I guess, or preseason camp. I guess what you get also here is maybe a change for coaches in how I saw Kirby Smart yesterday said Saturday scrimmage for him, Saturday scrimmage over in Athens, will mark the end of preseason camp. They'll go into preparation for Clemson at that point. I think school starts over in Athens next week as well. I believe the school starts over here. I believe it starts a week from yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember if it's the 20th or 21st. But school for the University of South Carolina starts. So is there a transition, and we'll get more into this a little bit, a transition from the physical nature or whatever takes place during the camp aspect of it and what takes place in the practice aspect of it?
Yeah, there's definitely different preps, different ways that guys are taking reps, different situations you're putting fellas in, the way practices are scheduled. Yeah, all of that changes from quote-unquote camp to game prep.
So
that is a difference.
We'll talk about that. Texas losing a running back yesterday, a second running back. They're down to 3 scholarship running backs for the season. And Kentucky, and that one's a big one. We'll talk about the Kentucky injury a little bit as well, preseason stuff there. But again, we'll get back into some quarterback competition stuff this morning. Robbie Ashford and Lenora Sellers, players speaking yesterday. Preston Thorne, some interesting stuff coming from the offense, including from a walk-on tight end who appears to be making a significant name for himself.
His name's getting some buzz. There's some buzz around his name, which we'll see what that means.
Okay, we'll get into all that this morning. A lot to get into. I want to remind you, though, as you get up and get going this morning, just over a week from today, Friday, August the 23rd, we've got our 107.5 The Game golf tournament out at Charwood Golf Club. You want to get involved. We want you to be involved. We want you to come out and hang out. Go ahead and get registered today, 803-755-2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000. Call out there today. Get your team registered. Get your foursome and come on out and hang out with us. Again, August the 23rd. That is next Friday that you can come out, be a part of. Preston and I will be hanging out. If you get out there early, you want to hit some golf balls, but if you want to hang out with us, we might even put you on air. We've done that before when Gamecock Larry has stopped by and a few other people. So if you want to come out and hang out with us, even if you're not playing, come on by, say hello to everybody. That'll be next Friday, August the 23rd, Preston Thorne, where we will get out there and you will once again take to the tee box to hit the inaugural shot for the opening shot. Yeah, we've already done the inaugural.
And as I said, I take the worst shot so that you can have all the good shots for the rest of the tournament. That's my service to everybody is as a host.
That is a team player.
I will take the worst shot so that you cannot be worse than the shot that I took.
Was that the feeling on the interior of the defense line? You'd be like, I'll take on this big bad guy so the other 3 or 4 of you can get those scrubs and get the sack. But for this game, I'll handle that guy.
I'll take on this guy's for you, just for you all. This is my service to you.
Come back all mangled and beaten up. And
I hope you appreciate it.
803-404-6100. We'll let you listen to a little bit of Robbie Ashford commentary from yesterday, what he had to say, and get into a little bit of that. Could multiple quarterbacks play this season? I've got some thoughts on that. We'll talk about quarterback competitions. Preston Thorne brought up a good point. How do they affect the team? Does it divide the team? Can it bring the team closer together? We'll talk a little bit about that as we roll along this morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne. It is the early game.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with your insurance company to take away the headache. Yes, they will come out to wherever you are. Are you at school? Are you at home? Maybe you're at work. Wherever you are, Absolute Glass will come out to you and give you a free quote for any job. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows and mirrors, Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
It appears things are moving along fairly well this morning on the highways. We don't really have any accidents to speak of right now, and we're not going to speak any into existence. Don't have any slowdowns of any kind really at this point, so good news there as well. And sunny with 88 for the high today. That's what we're looking for. Actually, 85 today, 88 tomorrow, 88 on Friday. And even into Saturday, looking like we might have a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 90. Kind of nice to have a few dry days for sure right now, though. We're starting off the morning nicely. It is 74 on the early game.
Reminder, excuse me, make sure you sign up for the Ultimate Season Ticket Giveaway. One winner will get season tickets to all South Carolina home football, baseball, and women's basketball games, along with men's basketball games. That's right. You heard that right. Season tickets to all home football, baseball, women's basketball, and men's basketball games. All you need to do is go and register at 1075thegame.com. Click on the Ultimate Season Ticket Giveaway 2.0 on our media reel. We will announce the 3 finalists, and they will have to show up at the Summer Golf Tournament at Charwood, where we will announce the winner. This is sponsored by the Men's Clinic at the Irmo Professional Center. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning.
Just a reminder, on that, you have to show up to the tournament. You don't have to play. You don't have to register to play. You can only you just have to come by.
Good point. So you got to be there probably about 9 a.m. If you want to have a chance to actually win those tickets. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. So we turn our attention. I don't know, Preston, how we define quarterback battle, quarterback competition. Let's start with that for a second, because I think in our mind, those outside of the program, this isn't a quarterback battle and or competition. The roles are definitively defined. Lenore Sellers is one. Robbie Ashford will be the backup. And we'll get into this a little bit. Could you play 2 quarterbacks? But it's Lenore Sellers as the legitimate starter. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Robbie Ashford is the backup. So does that make for a quarterback battle competition?
It seems like it's a quarterback competition, whereas maybe there's let's go back to the Olympics. You have somebody who's running the sprinter, then maybe you have a pace setter or something along those lines, or you have somebody that's pushing the pace. Maybe you could look at Robbie Ashford as somebody who's pushing the pace, having somebody in place there behind Lenoris to make sure, not that Lenoris would slack up, but just making sure that he knows there is an opportunity for somebody else to play quarterback if you're not producing. So, yes, you need to have more people in there so that there is actually some competition for that spot. Last year, there was no quarterback competition. Spencer Rattler was the number 1 guy, and there probably wasn't going to be anything to happen. Now, on the outside, we might have said, well, it's time to play Lenoris. But there was no competition. This is a little bit of a competition, even though it's pretty settled in our mind.
It'll be something to I guess talk a little bit about, but let's let you hear from Robbie Ashford. Now this is going to start with his relationship with Lenore Sellers amid the competition that currently is taking place.
I mean, we keep it fun in there. I mean, I'm the older guy, so I kind of look at Lenore as like little bro, and I was like, man, you're little bro. But I mean, man, we just come out there and we just try to have fun with the work. I mean, he's QB1 coming into it, and I respect that. He's been here, he's done what he needed to do, and it's just my job to just be able to help him and, be ready to play when my time's called, and I know I'll get it. So it's just doing that. But me and him, man, we got a great relationship. Really thankful for him. And he's just a young guy who's just wants to be great. And you love to work with guys like that. And then we can just joke around, have fun. We live in the same apartment complex, so it's like we're cool. And it's definitely been better than any other competition I've been in. A lot of competitions, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but with this room and just what we've been doing, I haven't seen any of that, and it's just been a true brotherhood, and that's what you love to be in. So
you've been in those locker rooms, you've been in those dorms. Back in your day, they didn't have anything like 650 Lincoln Street when Preston Thorne was roaming the halls. But what do you take when you hear that from your personal experience?
I mean, that sounds great. It sounds great. It sounds like they are very clear on what the roles are. Maybe Lenoris might push back against being Lil Bro. He might push back like, I don't know about that, but
he's a big dude.
I don't know about that yet. I don't know if you could just call somebody a little brother, but yeah, it sounds like they have a good competition because as he said at the end, sometimes these competitions get weird. There are some different bad vibes, juju walking around the locker room, especially at quarterback where there's only one person that's more than likely to take the overwhelming majority of the snaps, and that person is probably an egomaniac because they are the quarterback. There can be some bad vibes, I would say, in those competitions. So it sounds like everybody is aware of what's happening, what the status is, and they're all there for the same reasons, which is to win.
I think in this situation, how much of it is on the – well, let me take that back because it's different. It's different than when you played. When you bring in a guy like Robbie Ashford out of the transfer portal, how much of it is on Shane Beamer, Dow Loggins in that recruiting process to explain what Robbie Ashford's role is and not just say, like, hey, it's an open quarterback competition. Like, hey, because we talked about this a little bit during that recruiting process of saying, like, South Carolina was having a little bit of a problem trying to get a quarterback, a transfer portal quarterback with experience, because it was pretty much well known out there that this was Seller's job and that nobody was coming in to have a legitimate chance to compete.
Yeah, you might have had a chance to compete before the spring, and then hopefully Lenoris, where everybody hopes that Lenoris did a good enough job during the spring that he separated themselves, and not only that he could see, that the rest of the team can see, and that the person that you brought in could also see why they are the person who's in the backup position. And so, yeah, you want to hear those. You want the things. You make sure everybody's definitions is very clear on what we're doing so that we all can focus on what the mission is.
Now, Preston, you'll like this because one of the things that Robbie Ashford talked about was his relationship with Lenoir Sellers regarding the quarterback competition. There was a follow-up question.
There we go.
There was a follow-up.
Hey, earn your money.
There you go. This is this is Robbie Ashford talking about why this quarterback competition is different than the others he's been a part of. Here's what Robbie Ashford had to say.
Because I think we all have the same goal in mind. I think we're all just trying to be a great team and win a lot of football games. And it was a lot of individualized stuff in the other places I've been, and everybody just wanted it for themselves. It wasn't even about the team. And, I mean, it just drew a lot of people apart. It had people trying to pick sides at other places I was at. Like, oh, this group of people messing with this guy, with this quarterback. This group messes with this other quarterback. Like, that's not healthy for a team. And we felt a lot of that definitely at Auburn. I mean, it definitely divided our team. And I've seen how it can be bad for a team. And, you know, when I came into this and I knew it was a competition, it was like I don't want any of that to happen. Like, I hope this is just smooth sailing. Like, everybody knows we're here competing. Like, I hope we all love each other at the end of the day. I mean, it's only one of us that can go out there and play, but we're all pushing each other to get better, and I think that's the biggest difference, and we have fun with it. So,
sounds professional, level-headed. Sounds like the guy you want kind of being the elder statesman of the quarterback room.
Yeah, and he mentioned the idea that, yes, these things do happen. He mentioned specifically, thank you, Robbie Ashford. I appreciate you saying, not at other places, but at Auburn specifically, there was some division within the team, and it's very clear on what's happening. And imagine if we was to go back and look, you could probably see that thing play out during their season last year. That happens sometimes, especially when you have two quarterbacks who are different natures or polarizing or take the team. Well, maybe one's an older guy. This is actually a scenario that it could play out. And so it's nice to hear that he doesn't see those things happening so far with this team.
And is there an element of credit we have to give to Shane Beamer for that? And I say Shane, but he's the head coach. Buck stops with him for, I guess, cultivating that chemistry that Deion Sanders doesn't like the word chemistry, but cultivating that feeling, not just in the quarterback room, but maybe across the board.
Yeah, I mean, because he's the leader of the program. So what happens in your program is under your tutelage. So if he's creating a culture where there is open competition, yet we're still pushing in the same direction, that absolutely goes to him because I would definitely put the blame on him if there was some division amongst the locker room, because that's his responsibility also.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on that. So when you talk about Robbie Ashford, we'll get into this coming up in the next segment, and playing two quarterbacks, though, how much do you buy into what he is saying? Is this just saying the politically correct, hey, we're friends, healthy competition, we're all in it together? Because Preston, I used to say it as a JV basketball coach. Everybody's good friends until all of a sudden somebody says, wait a minute, I didn't get any snaps this game. And it's funny, we kind of talked about it more off air, but what just occurred at the Olympics, even though they won the gold medal with Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum having a limited role despite being a pretty good basketball player. And I didn't catch it, but I think you said his mama got a little involved.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But there's two people that didn't play out very much. Jason Tatum didn't play. Tyrese Halliburton didn't play a lot. Tyrese is walking around with his gold medal like, this is great.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, guys. I loved it. I was glad to be part of the team. And Jason was kind of over there pouting a little bit. So you could see how different people can handle the same situation based on, I think Tyrese knew, like, hey, I'm just along for the ride.
I'm happy to be here.
Glad to be here. You know, Jason's like, I just came off winning a title, MVP, blah, blah, blah. Got $1 billion contract. I should be playing over 3 of the greatest players ever to play basketball. And so you could see how the same situation, there's two different ways to approach it.
Yeah, and again, we'll see as we continue to move forward how it is kind of approached from the standpoint of South Carolina. It's going to be, when you get into the game, Preston, I'm sure you've seen this, you've probably seen people be very friendly in preseason camp and then the actual camp, and then you play that first game and somebody doesn't play and you kind of looking over at them and you watch those emotions through 4 quarters.
It don't quite hit till the first game starts. Like, I don't know what it is, but you think you're going to play.
Right.
And then when you see them snaps not happening, it's like, oh, man, I'm not. Again, Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
You see it happening, and it's a little bit tougher to be excited when you're on the sideline.
We'll talk about that, though. Can 2 quarterbacks or will 2 quarterbacks play? I'm interested to hear Preston's take on this. We'll also let you listen to Robbie Ashford as it pertains to his thoughts on whether 2 quarterbacks can play. We'll talk about that coming up in the next segment. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Nice Tuesday morning as far as we can see. No major slowdowns to speak of. No accidents, of course. And we are looking for a high today of 87 under some partly cloudy skies, 88 and 89 Thursday and Friday under mostly sunny conditions. So we'll enjoy a couple days of some nice sunshine and really some pretty decent temperatures considering that we're in August. Right now, though, it's a little bit cloudy, 73 on the early game.
.32 as we get you going here on this Wednesday morning. Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, we are halfway through the week. Halfway through. Boy, that is exactly where we are at now with really preseason camp. Preston, I guess about now. Today will be day 14. Defensive players will speak later on.
Preseason practice is not camp, but moving on.
Not camp anymore is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Camp is
never
camp
was.
is what you...
We don't do camps anymore.
You're a grizzled veteran. We do need to get into your gray beard theory that you were slowly developing over there that we didn't get to yesterday. I feel like if you were to walk in the locker room and the players over there now are like, oh, man, I don't know how preseason camp was back in your day, but it's rough now. I feel like you would throw a few into a locker. A few players would be thrown into a locker.
Well, I could not throw them into a locker. I just throw them a mean look, and then I try and duck because they would stuff me into a locker because they're very strong and fast and big, and I am older.
Yeah. That's all. They're not
young.
stronger.
They're stronger, faster, and younger, and that's a bad combination.
Younger, the key word. Mm-hmm. So we are but moving closer now, 17 days. 17 days away from opening day over at Williams-Brice Stadium. 4:15 Old Dominion will roll in. And one of the things that will be interesting in that game is how South Carolina chooses to play offense. How much do they show? Are they vanilla? Do they go multiple? And one of the questions of multiple is, how many snaps does Robbie Ashford get, and in what role? Preston, we'll let the audio play in a minute here of Robbie Ashford saying, could multiple quarterbacks play? I think two things. They're not different quarterbacks. These guys are very similar. I mean, I don't know what you're trading out. It would be different if say, you had Blake Mitchell back there, old Stone Legs Mitchell, running around back there, versus, say, Robbie Ashford, who's more of a dual-threat quarterback, similar to, say, Savell Newton back in the day. You don't have that here. You don't have the true legitimate pocket passer with the guy who maybe the passing is a little on the lesser scale, if you will. Use the college football EA Sports scale of passing and passing accuracy versus higher speed. These guys are similar, are very similar, you would agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about just what we had last year. We had Crazy Legs Rattler,
yeah,
and Lenoris. Two very different quarterbacks as far as their skill sets concerned. These guys seem like they're much closer in skill set. And so I would wonder how that looks with you playing them in multiple. Maybe you don't have different packages, but maybe there are certain things within the offense that each one does a little bit better.
This is Robbie Ashford. Yes, let's let you hear what he had to say. Could multiple quarterbacks play this coming season?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's kind of just a coach thing. I just try. I don't really look too much into that because, that's not really my place or anything. I just try and go out there and just do what I can. And hopefully I do enough to be able to see the field. I mean, in the day, who doesn't want to play? And, I always want to be on that field. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. Norris is going to do whatever it takes. And, at the end of the day, we're only making each other better. And, this is the SEC. You never want to see injuries happen, but you always got to have a next man up mentality because you're one play away. Whoever the backup is, you're always one play away from being in the game. And a lot of places when you don't have two quarterbacks ready, that's where a lot of teams get in trouble. And we've got two quarterbacks that are ready and another three guys that are ready on top of that. So I feel like it's just a recipe for success. And I feel like the coach will make the best decision, and I respect it regardless.
I think he caught himself there. Yeah, we got 2 guys ready. And another 3. I forgot about those guys.
My God, shout out to Dante, man. Yo, he's working hard.
And Davis, and we got other guys too. I forgot about those. Yeah. He's saying all the right things.
I kind of like Robbie. I don't know Robbie, but Robbie seems to. Obviously, I think this is his job as an elder statesman in the locker room. But he seems to be very good in front of the microphone and very clear in what he's stating. What I gather from him is that obviously I would want to play. There's no doubt about that. But the way it's going, it seems like LaNorris is going to be the guy. I don't want him to get injured, but if I have to play, I will be ready.
So the question becomes, back in your day, you had 2 entirely different quarterbacks, Phil Petty and Corey Jenkins. And, Petty was the pocket passer with the great, what do you think, 5.2 40 time?
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler was known as Speedy Rattler compared to Phil Petty. But you had 2 different quarterbacks. So I go back to the Mississippi. I think it was the Mississippi State game, the first game after 9/11?
Yes.
That was the game. Corey Jenkins, I believe, busted one up the middle and took a long run. I know Pinnock had a long run somewhere in there as well, but I can't remember if it was that game or not. But Corey Jenkins had a long run in one of those games for a touchdown. And that was what was different about him. The offense honestly became different when Corey Jenkins came in as opposed to Phil Petty. I don't know how much the offense changes and if that's what you want to do by subbing one guy in and one guy out.
Well, with them having such different skill sets, there wasn't actually
You're talking about Jenkins and
Phil, yeah, Corey and Phil. There wasn't actually a competition because both of them did what they did so well. Everybody on the team knew that when this guy was in, he was doing this. When this guy was in, he's doing this. And we appreciated what each one of them brought to the table. Even when you said Andrew Pinnock versus Derek Watson, 2 different guys, 2 different skill sets. You know that each one of them brings something different to the game. And so that alleviates the pressure as far as competition is concerned because if this part of the game plan isn't working, we can bring this guy in. If this part of the game plan is working, we can bring him in. So, and also, I have to say again, the culture of those teams was that we were all pulling in the same direction. Later on, as I reiterate, the culture in the team wasn't as good, and so maybe those situations would not have worked out as well. And so I think it's all the baseline of we all know we're here for the same reasons.
And I wonder with the transfer portal now, because it's entirely different. You've got guys. Robbie Ashford really did a good job of describing it and talking about situations at other schools he'd been at, whether it was Oregon or Auburn. But now he does come in. It's his final year. And how much does it affect him or does it affect the team? Now, he doesn't have the friendships and the relationships like, say, Phil Petty or Corey Jenkins had developed or had at that time. Robbie Ashford's coming in. He's been here now, 8 months, and is trying to build those. There was always the discussion prior to your arrival and my arrival at college, but your arrival, and I don't know how much you would hear of a team divide between Anthony Wright and Phil Petty.
Yeah, and that is something I've talked to the guys that were there, and it was through no means of Phil and Anthony because they were tight.
Right.
It wasn't them that had the issue. It was more so that the culture was rotten. It was a rotten culture, and the coaches did not do a good job of recognizing it and trying to make that whole. But it was not between, from what everybody that I've talked to, it was not between the 2 players who were in competition, either one of them, but because of the team's culture, things split apart, and the record ensued.
803-404-6100. Now, the other part about this is LaNorris Sellers has built some hype. There's been a bit of hype. Boy, if you think LaNorris Sellers has built some hype in real life, imagine those outside of Columbia, South Carolina, playing with him on EA Sports College Football. But this is Ryan McGee yesterday on the Garnet Trust Hour talking about LaNorris Sellers becoming a household name. Here's what Ryan McGee had to say.
Well, the greatest compliment I can give someone that's in his position is when coaches talk about him, and when I talk to people who saw him in high school and who've seen the way that he carries himself, they talk about someone who's not going to be rattled by any of this. And not in like a super arrogant, cocky, y'all should watch me play kind of way. It's just a quiet way of taking care of business. So how do you do your work? And, it reminds me a lot of Shane Beamer. Which is, there's stuff that Shane does that's flashy, and he does social media, and he's a phenomenal recruiter. We all know that. But at the end of the day, the coaches love him because he just loves coach football. And so that's what I hear about Sellers. And I think that's why he's going to be good for this job. And so it's, he doesn't come in. There's no predetermined stories about him. I'm a Spencer Rattler guy, always have been. It always drove me crazy, the stories that were attached to him because he chose to be on a streaming show when he was in high school, and because some former coaches might have poisoned the water against him when he was changing schools. It drove crazy because once you saw him play and you saw the way he worked and you saw the kind of a teammate that he was, if you knew the truth, you knew the truth. And eventually the nation came around on that. And so with Sellers, there's none of that. Like, it's just him. And so I'm really, really curious to see and anxious to see. But we're living in an era, guys, where, it's nothing for these young quarterbacks. I mean, I grew up at a time where, it's kind of like the NFL used to be. You had to bide your time. You had to wait. You got to football when you were a junior and a senior, and then you took over. And in the case of Sellers, in the case of college football now, you're in the door as a teenager, and you're running the offense of a premier program. And from everything I've heard, he's not going to have a problem doing that.
You hear that in him talking, and that seems to be, Preston, what we hear about LaNorris Sellers is his mental makeup and how he approaches this job. I think you've referred to him as Professor Sellers.
Professor Sellers, that's right.
With just his professionalism that he handles when he's in front of a microphone. I kind of, again, go back. I wouldn't say Spencer was a cocky guy, but I'm not sure how I would define him as a guy who would talk. But you did go at a time from Stephen Garcia, who was a talker, to Connor Shaw, who was not a talker.
Yes.
And in a way, it feels, again, I'm not trying to compare Spencer to Stephen in those terms, but Spencer was a little bit more, he understood how to talk. He understood how to talk. He had been on that show. He understood dealing with the media, and he kind of maybe had an enjoyment about it, whereas it seems like LaNorris Sellers was kind of like, I'll give you the fewest words to answer your question that you need.
Yeah, but he does it in a very confident way. He just carries himself as somebody who seems like he should be in charge. I don't know how else to describe it. You look at him, it's like, oh, he's the manager. Can I speak to your manager? Yes. Yeah. There he goes right over there, doing something, tinkering with something. That's what it seems like who he is for the team, and that's what you want. And you can only assume that that's going to grow as he grows in his experience and his plays on the team.
803-404-6100. We'll get into some of these injuries around college football. We mentioned those. A big one for a South Carolina. Two big ones, actually. Oklahoma with an injury yesterday. We'll get into those as we roll through this morning. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, and Bill Gunner. It is the early game. 6:48. 6:48, the current time. How you can join us if you hear anything you want to weigh in on 803-404-6100 as we try to warm up again in our Arctic studio here down on Gervais Street in Columbia. Again, reminder, coming up a week from Friday, we will have the 107.5 The Game golf tournament. You need to go ahead and get sponsored or get set up today. Call out to Charwood, 803-755-2000. That's 803-755-2000. Out there, we'll have some breakfast for you, some onion sausage. I'm sure we'll have some mimosas as well. It should be a blast. We do it each and every fall, supposedly, but August, not fall. But we do it each and every preseason, and we'll get you ready for that Georgia Tech Florida State game. Are we going to be excited about that next Friday? The fact that it's college football?
Me, my season doesn't start till we've started.
Okay, all right.
That's me. I will probably glance, but I don't get excited till we have game week.
Okay.
That's just me though.
All
but
right.
I can understand how if we're just like, good, we have games that matter, consequence. I can get it.
Okay.
But my personal opinion
It's a good point.
If we don't start till game calls start.
We'll also get you ready for Nevada and SMU if you're into that kind of thing at 8 o'clock.
Sure.
Yeah, I just went with the one that maybe is most appealing. But yeah, make sure you get signed up. Call out to Charwood at 803-755-2000. Get registered for our Summer Golf Classic. Again, that'll be out at Charwood Golf Club next Friday, August the 23rd. Speaking of college football and now kind of big picture look around, injuries occur. This is what I'm trying to think back. When did you suffer your injury in college?
It was my redshirt junior year, the second game of the year against the vaunted University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Oh boy,
the old Blazers.
That's not the one you want to be known for.
No, no. It was early in the season though.
I was trying to think back to your time as I was in college of a significant preseason injury. Do you?
I have one. I know one that's very specific and did not get a lot of coverage, but Isaac Stackhouse was going to be the other starting cornerback on the other side of Dante Robinson, and he got hurt in preseason because he was playing both sides of the ball, and he ended up getting hurt, and it effectively ended his career. He had a back injury he never came back from, and he was coming out of that camp as the starter, and he was going to be somebody who was going to be really, really good for the team. And it was something like, I don't think we knew the effect of what that was going to be as the rest of the season. And somebody had brought that up to me, and I had forgot about that. But yeah, that was the one that happened during camp, and it was one of those situations where it was like, oh, he tweaked his back a little bit, and he never ended up coming back. So yeah, injuries happen during camp for sure all the time. Shannon Wadley, that was during the summer, but that effectively ended his career and ended the rest of his senior season. So it does happen for sure, and this is one of the positive things we've seen coming out of camp this far. So far, jinx, knock on wood, whatever you want to call it. But we haven't had any major injuries to account for yet.
Yeah, because Juice Wells' injury last year, from what I understand, did not occur during fall camp. Kevin Harris, if you go back, did not occur during fall camp. Luke Doty's did occur during fall camp. I know I'm thinking I'm probably missing one or two more.
Marshawn Lloyd?
Did he get injured well, he got injured. That was during that was the Muschamp era, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. That was the Muschamp era that he got injured in fall camp and didn't. So South Carolina's had some the last few years, at least as of now. Good news, they haven't. But across the country, there has been a couple. And one of the big ones yesterday, Texas losing their second string, at least what they thought would be the second string running back, Christian Clark, a true freshman. Now, he goes down along with the original starter, C.J. Baxter. And this leaves Texas with just 3 scholarship running backs. Don't feel bad for them. One of them is Jarek Gibson, who was a top 60 recruit last year and the number 2 running back overall.
Right.
They can ask a lot of him. Also, Jadon Blue, who's played in 23 games for them, is still around. But you get these injuries at running back, and this is where, in the SEC, you got to have some depth there at the running back position.
There's going to be attrition throughout the season. You just hope it doesn't start till later, and you hope that you can sort of cycle in the injuries. You know, somebody's out for 2 weeks, somebody else comes in, and you have enough guys to go throughout the season. So this is something that you plan for. This is why when the coaches talk about depth and having a lot of guys that can play, this is what you want to be planning for, but you don't want it to happen during the preseason. And I don't know the extent of those injuries, but you don't want them to be injuries that last throughout the year.
The big one yesterday, Chip Trainum, a running back for Kentucky, broke his hand and is expected to be out 3 to 4 weeks and likely, it says likely, 1 to 2 games. That's the one you watch because with Brock Vandergriff now taking over for Kentucky, and Brock Vandergriff, even though he's got those beautiful 5 stars next to his name in recruiting, he's a guy that is unproven. And that's going to be his first major start for him when South Carolina rolls in on September 7th.
I know the game is not supposed to be played like this because we're a more civilized society than we used to be. But you're telling me that there's a potential that the running back coming in might be coming off of a broken hand?
Yes. Yes, yeah. And this was a big pickup for them. Trainum started his career at Arizona State and had been at Ohio State the last 2 years. Last year for Ohio State, 85 carries, 373 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was a guy that they were hoping to bring in and be a big part of their offense moving forward.
So you tell me that when he's carrying the ball, he might have to carry the ball in that broken hand, and maybe sometimes when he falls on the ground and that broken hand is just out there laying,
gets stepped
unprotected,
falling on,
that I might make a mistake of where I step. Is that what was? Could that
cover your ears, kids?
I'm sorry, kids.
Uncle Thorne right now is.
We don't play the game like this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the scouting reports. But is that what you're saying?
Hour 2 is on the way. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Now, Jacob's the mortgage guru in this market. I can tell you that for a fact. I used Jacob Crowder just a few years ago. He was able to help get me a phenomenal rate on my condo out in Lexington on the lake, and I am so appreciative of it. It was handled smoothly. It was handled professionally, and now with First Palmetto Bank, Jacob Crowder is doing the exact same thing, and they're offering some incredible products. How about this? If you live in Richland County or you're looking to move to Richland County, there's a community reinvestment product in Blythewood, Northeast, Southeast, and the I-20 corridor where they are offering a 4.99% interest with a 5.075 APR on a 30-year fixed mortgage. For more information on this, call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. Call the Mortgage Guru today and tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
Still looks like things moving along fairly well across the Midlands this morning out there on the highways. And as far as your forecast goes, cloudy, 87 for the high today. Then we'll see sunshine Thursday and Friday with highs in the upper 80s. So we welcome that, absolutely. And might dip into the low 90s for the weekend and maybe a couple chances for some scattered thunderstorms. Right now, though, it's a little bit cloudy. That sun's working its way out. It's 73 on 107.5 The Game.
Uh, 7 a.m. on a Wednesday morning where we have taken a turn, if you will. Kids, earmuffs right now. Put the earmuffs on as you head to school. Good luck at school, by the way. Tell your parents to get you a donut on the way in. It's Wednesday morning. You deserve a donut. KT from Lexington, though, weighs in and says, Preston just traveled down a dark road.
All I'm saying, no, you know what? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, read your scouting reports.
I don't know. You might have said it without saying it.
I'm just saying, read your scouting reports and take note. And add extra emphasis where you need to.
Brad weighs in. PT is exactly right. Whatever it takes.
All within rules. All within the rules.
And
within the rules.
If you wonder what we're discussing, it is because we were mentioning injuries across the board in college football right now. And Kentucky yesterday, obviously opponent number 2 for the Gamecocks, and what's going to be a massive, pivotal matchup there in Lexington, Kentucky. Brock Vandegrift will be getting his first legitimate start. Lenore Sellers, likely, and we'll continue talking about that this morning, will be getting his first legitimate start. And I'll circle back to that coming up as we talk about a little bit of a quarterback battle, if you will. It's not, I think, a competition, or I'm not sure how you'd word it, but that may be a game with his experience where Robbie Ashford gets a series or two so that Lenore Sellers can come stand on the sideline and watch something develop. And I'll come back to that. We'll come back to that as we go through some of that this hour. But the discussion was Chip Trainum, a running back transfer for Kentucky, coming in from Ohio State, where he had in the last 2 years, he'd been at Ohio State. The last 2 years, he opened his career at Arizona State. Chip Trainum in the last 2 years had 100 carries for Ohio State, and he had 465 yards. 465 yards on 100 carries. So just quick math.
4.6.
So 4.6 and 3 touchdowns, if you're wondering. So this was a guy that they were bringing in to kind of really be a big piece of their running back room. He goes down, broken hand, which is where Preston went down a dark path, as KT says, of if he's laying on the ground.
No. I said that. All I'm saying is that he has to carry the ball with one of those broken hands. That's all I'm saying.
True, and then as you were just saying, when you tackle him.
When he's on the ground.
If
he's tackled, listen.
People fall down all the time and trip.
Absolutely.
Yep. I mean,
it's
a pile of people. If a hand gets stepped on, a hand gets stepped on.
I have to get up off the ground. My knee has to get up off the ground. Sometimes I might take a knee, depending on where. Listen, things happen. All within the confines of the game. On the flip side, if I was playing defensive line and I happen to have a broken hand, you might feel that hand on your helmet because I have a cast on now, and can't hurt me. So listen. just take what you get, man.
So all you kids this morning who are heading to school into your 7th, 8th, 9th grade football practices this afternoon, hit them up at Coach P Tweets for more football advice on the Twitter machine.
This ain't 7-on-7 anymore. We're playing real football now.
We are the program that likes to bring you the inside information on what transpires when one guy has an injury, and we are fully aware of it. So there you go. There's that. There is that. One other injury real quick that did pop up yesterday.
Oh, wait. Also, I mean, like, your hand.
Oh, boy.
Your career's not going to be over if you injure your hand. It's going to be fine.
Just make sure they can still hold a soda or a beverage later in life.
We're not talking any, like, knees or backs or anything. It's just a hand.
Don't.
It'll all be fine.
Don't mangle the hand. Just for the rest of the game, make sure that it's a little pain where they can't hold the football.
It'll all be okay. It'll all be fine.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. Jen, you want to just weigh on anything of this as we go along? I'm just
kind of listening and, shrugging the shoulders like, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe this is why we finished second in show of the year. Maybe this is the part where they were like, ooh, that program knows how to subtly hurt people. Jen shooting Nerf guns around, Preston stepping on hands of injured running backs. You'll give him a second. That'll be fine.
You know what? But Preston is speaking the unspoken.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right, again, kids, welcome to the program. And parents,
whom amongst us?
We're apologizing for teaching your kids the wrong thing. All right, one other injury real quick. Oklahoma wide receiver Jaden Gibson expected to miss the 2024 season after suffering a significant knee injury yesterday. Gibson last year catching 14 passes for 375 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was a 6'5 receiver, so a bigger guy. Had a MRI that revealed the damage to keep him on the sidelines for Oklahoma's debut campaign here in the SEC. He was the number 274 prospect in the ESPN class of 300 back in 2022, but still a depth piece for an offense that I think is going to be very interesting in this league for Oklahoma. So you get Oklahoma and Texas. What do? They come up. We always talk about it just means more. It's tougher in this conference, the week in, week out. Both of them yesterday suffering significant injuries just being in the conference.
Yeah, just being in the conference. Just since they had no injuries before they entered in the SEC, and now things happen. I'm really curious to see how Oklahoma looks, because the more that we talk about them, the more I realize I did not pay much attention to them last year. And so I need to figure out like what they're attempting to do on offense, what their schemes are like, and who they're trying to be. But again, that is why we talk about the depth so much, because injuries are going to happen. Football is a sport where injuries happen, whether it's through contact or non-contact, and you have to have enough people that can fill in.
So you got that, and we'll continue to discuss that as it pertains to Oklahoma again. Next week, we'll start to really get into some teams here, maybe get some people on to discuss what's going on with programs. Still early, technically 17 days until the start of the opening week in August 31st. But with that being said, Preston, Oklahoma's offense, losing as many offensive linemen as they did, brand new quarterback there in Jackson Arnold, who got the one start in the bowl game. It's going to be really interesting to see. That's one team. We'll go back in. Last year we've done this, our overrated, underrated on the AP top 25. I'll be honest, I'd have Oklahoma is overrated right now in that. So we'll get into that as we go through the week. Something else we discussed this morning, maybe, just maybe, Jen, the problem that Preston is having. By the way, a couple text coming in. David saying, did Preston just turn a heel turn? Did a heel turn live on air? Another text message said, there are no rules at the bottom of the pile. And then another texter says, secrets in the pile and needles in the haystack.
A live heel turn. I like that.
Is there anything that has to do with, like, I'm going to spit on you. I'm going to, I'm just envisioning, like, I didn't put deodorant on today. Like, are there those kinds of mischievous things?
Lots.
5-year-old things?
Lots happen. Lots happen. I definitely draw my line at fluids, bodily fluids. I draw my line there. But, yeah, things can happen.
Just curious.
Things I'm not proud. Things I'm not proud of.
Pile, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not proud of some of the things I've seen.
I'm trying to figure out where the line is on this program with kids going to school at this moment in the day, and where that discussion. Because I mean, we look. If we're being honest about it, sorry, Clemson fans, your players seem to have an issue, and that wasn't even in the pile.
Ooh, yeah, that was egregious. that was very egregious.
Not sure what was going on up there at Clemson, but that wasn't even happening in the pile. So anyway, let's move on. One of the reasons Preston might be a little salty this morning, or might be a little more willing to step on hands, step on ankles. Your boy, J.J. McCarthy, suffering an injury.
My guy.
And over the weekend for the Vikings, we thought it was just some knee soreness. Nope, not knee soreness. He has a meniscus tear, and now they will do surgery to determine whether he can come back this year, just trim the meniscus, or take it out and he'll have to miss the year. And now Preston is all depressed.
Yeah, because I had just bought all my skull gear, and I was getting my purple people eater #1 fingers up in the air. I was ready to go. But maybe I can put a hold on that order, because I want to be very clear. I am not a Vikings fan. I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan. And if J.J. McCarthy's not playing, this might give me an opportunity to wiggle out of the hole.
Oh,
the corner.
That's good because,
I know that was going to be a problem. I know that was going to be an issue, yeah. So this might give me a chance to sort of back my way out of the corner that I was.
No, you can't do it now. You're in.
Well, like I said, I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan. And by proxy, I was going to be a Vikings fan. However, if he's not playing, or he has yet to play, I feel like my countdown hasn't started yet. So I'm not on the clock
yet. You have another year?
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. As if I was a Viking fan, I would not be excited about Sam Darnold being my starting quarterback.
I would like to stay on that topic, but we're going to have to rotate back. And I'm going to read this one. And then I'm not trying to start a send in what you did at the bottom of a pile text campaign. We want to get back. We get it. Is Shane Beamer ready for a bounce back year? I'm just going to read this on air, and I'm gonna let Preston react. This comes from Tyson.
I've seen things. That's all I'm saying.
All right, this comes from Tyson, but it's an upstate number. That's all I'm going to say. So if you've had this happen to you, I apologize. Tyson says, my favorite thing to do in the bottom of the pile was to rip chunks of leg hair out of the legs of the opposing team. It takes a mental toll over 60 minutes.
That's a good one. That's a solid one. That's not bad, actually. Yeah, I can see that.
What is wrong with y'all?
I can see that. Listen, man. You do what you got to do when you got to do it, and sometimes when you don't have to do it, you still do it.
Do we at least, we don't go like full-fledged Mike Tyson or something, or at least partially. Like, we don't really do any nibbling or anything, right?
Well, if you have a mouthpiece in, it's tough. But and the face mask,
face mask, that's true
again.
Too.
Listen, man, I've seen things. Get up. Whenever you're watching a football game, you see people exiting the pile quickly. Something's happening. Something's happening. That's what I'll say. If you see people just moving fast, something's happening.
I will never not be able to watch a pile get off of each other now. And if I see people moving fast, I will never not be able to look at it and be like, I wonder what just happened. I wonder what's going on.
We need to zoom in. Yeah.
Something's happening.
I will just say we just lost a bunch of offensive and defensive linemen, that young kids that are listening right now heading to school like, I'm not playing.
Oh, they're intrigued.
I'm not playing wide receiver now.
Or somebody said, I can do that.
Oh, true.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said, I didn't know you could do these things.
Oh, yeah. No, there's some kids that are rubbing their hands together like, Mom, I want to play football.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
All right. Actually, let me change this. School administrators, make sure it's flag football out there at recess today. Do not, if you see the kids in a pile, get out there quickly for recess.
Listen, man, it's a tough game.
You never really think about those more intricate aspects that really, the things that are unspoken.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we're learning this morning, there's a lot of unspoken.
I hate to say it, I'm with Brandon on this. Preston just calls me to watch the pile after a play, maybe more than a play now.
Just watch how people move off the pile. Just telling you, things are happening. You'll see them moving pretty quickly.
Well, that segment went downhill really quickly. We will get back into what we were
now
doing.
I'm just envisioning what I'm hearing. I'm hearing about moms and girlfriend. Oh man, it could just get really the psychological warfare in there alone, let alone the physical.
Yeah, we that is award-winning commentary right there. All right, we'll come back. We'll get back into one of the things we'll discuss. Shane Beamer's bounce back year. Also, There was a lot of discussion yesterday about the progression of the wide receiver room. We'll get into that.
I'm interested to hear how that goes or what they're saying.
We will actually get to some. I mean, look, say what you want. That was legitimate football talk that we just had. That was
It just may have been the more unpleasant side, the seedier side.
We pulled the curtain back a little bit on what happens in the scrum piles, and it was not glorious. That's where you don't like knowing how the hot dog is made.
Yeah.
I'll tell one of my favorite memories of football under the pile at some point during the show.
We'll get to that.
And there's the professionalism. There's that tease, man.
Yeah, and legitimate football talk. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, where right now you get one of those incredible deals that they offer. The BOGO deal. That's right. Buy one, get one. Right now, when you purchase 2 rooms of carpet to be cleaned, you can get 2 rooms cleaned for free. You heard that right. Get 2 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 2 extra rooms cleaned when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Just give him a phone call, 803-262-4020, or schedule online. Use the promo code BOGO. That's ZerorezColumbia.com. Again, with patented ZR water technology that is scientifically proven to keep the carpets, rugs, towel, upholstery all insanely clean. And with football season also coming up and you not wanting to clean your home, having extra time to watch, like the pile at the end of a play in football, use Zerorez to keep the carpets, rugs, towel, upholstery all insanely clean because of their BOGO deal. Get 2 rooms cleaned. Get 2 rooms cleaned for free. 803-262-4020. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Still looks like we have the all clear across the Midlands. No accidents to speak of. No major slowdowns that we are encountering at this point. And as far as your forecast goes, 87 be our high today under partly cloudy skies. Upper 80s for Thursday and Friday under mostly sunny skies. So enjoying that. Maybe a little bit of rain popping back in for the weekend. But right now, it's 73 on the early game.
Oh, yeah. Yep, we went down a path. We're going to get to a bounce-back year for Shane Beamer and what Ryan McGee had to say yesterday, but I can't let some of these text messages go by without reading them off of that previous segment. KT from Lexington weighing back in and just said, nobody wants to get in a pile of Clemson players. Just ask Ohio State. Speaking of Clemson, our buddy Clemson Sean says, y'all need to be careful when Preston yells out, dog pile, in the studio. Brian from Lugoff says, my coach said pinch and punch, Preston.
Shoulder shrug.
Yeah, I was
for
going
the
to say.
radio audience. Shoulder shrug.
And another texter says, they should use those microphones to listen in on the bottom of the pile.
You know, I wonder how heavily edited some of those NFL films are, because I'm sure things are said.
803-404-6100. If you're a lineman and you want to weigh in with some of that, feel free to do so. We'll get to that. But this is, we have danced around it. Now, look, let me be clear on this. This is my stance. This is my stance. All right? Prepare yourself accordingly. This is not Preston's, Jen's, or those of anyone at 107.5 The Game. I do not think Shane Beamer is on the hot seat. And I do not think a bad season, a really bad season, 4-8, gets him fired. I think he's got 2 years regardless, okay? Anybody that says, now, I do think there are different standards for 4-8. 4-8 can mean you win your three of the 4 non-conference games, Old Dominion, Akron, Wofford, and you beat Vanderbilt. But in the other 8, you get demolished. 3 touchdown losses. You're giving up 50 points. That's a little bit different. I don't think that happens. So, therefore, regardless, I don't think Shane Beamer is on the hot seat this year. I think he is perfectly fine. 2 out of the 3 years have been above average. Last year was below average. I side with the above average years and just saying right now that last year was the anomaly. Shane Beamer is not on the hot seat, and that is not really a discussion. 5-7, he is definitely back for 2025. And I think 4-8, even if that were, then that's worst case scenario, and that's probably a lot of injuries. As long as they're not demolished in those 8 losses, he's back. All right. With that being said, and again, that was my take. That was of nobody at 107.5 The Game or Preston or Jen.
But I agree with that.
Okay,
I
yeah.
just say I also agree with that.
With that being said, it is a bounce back year. I do think for the advancement of this program, you have to get to a bowl game. You have to get to a bowl game without question. This is Ryan McGee yesterday talking about, he joined the Garnet Trust Hour. This is him talking about Shane Beamer being up to the task this year in what is definitely a bounce back year.
No, he's definitely up for the task. And I think that if you watch that team a year ago as closely as I know you guys did and the people in Columbia did, which is, that team was, I go back to the North Carolina game. If they win the North Carolina game week 1, it changes the entire season because now they're in a bowl game. And now they're doing all this. But I knew it, you guys knew it. 2 drives into that game, I was like, oh, no, they're in trouble because that offensive line was not ready. They just weren't. And Rattler was already running for his life. It was clear they were going to run the football. And so what have they done? Those are the things they've done to fix. And so I think they're going to. The focus I see on his face tells me that he knows that he has a chance to turn it around even quicker than people think that he can. And I also know him well enough to know that, I always go back to Seabiscuit, right? You ever see the movie Seabiscuit? Seabiscuit ran a lot faster when he was mad and when he had someone to chase. When he's out front by himself, he wasn't that fast. And Shane Beamer, to me, in this program, South Carolina, just the history of it, they do their best work when they feel like people are shortchanging them and when they have something to chase. And so now, with something to prove, I feel like these are the situations where Shane Beamer does his best work. And quite honestly, in the 100 and whatever years it is of Gamecock football, I feel like it's when they've done their best work. It's when they got something to prove.
There is something to that. I was going to initially say I don't know if I believe that, but there is something to that because if you look at the Will Muschamp first year and the Shane Beamer first year, 6-7, 7-6, both made a bowl game when nobody expected them to. I don't know if that's a program thing, but maybe it's all the other teams overlooking South Carolina, kind of like, oh, here comes little old South Carolina to Norman, Oklahoma. Don't need to take them serious. We got Texas next week. I think that's how that schedule goes. Maybe they have Alabama. I can't remember. I remember saying this, that the Oklahoma game is in a good spot for South Carolina because of, I think, Oklahoma coming off of the Texas game. But the point being is, when South Carolina has a season like they did, they do tend to get overlooked, understandably so. But you hear him say that. You hear Ryan McGee say that, Preston, and there should be a chip on Shane Beamer's shoulder. There should be a chip on those players' shoulders that's down there.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to it, Shane and company pulled off miracles the first 2 seasons. Football miracles. The first season, get into a bowl game, beating North Carolina in the Mayo Bowl with no quarterback. We've talked about what I don't think people. Do you remember what the quarterback situation was that first year?
People forget they started technically because DeCarrion Joyner started the bowl game. So this is a correct stat. 4 different starting quarterbacks started that season.
It was nothing that you would want. They had to bring the GA off the street to be a quarterback there, and they actually got to 6 wins. Awesome, amazing coaching job. The next year, they go in, beat Tennessee, beat Clemson, pull off, that Tennessee game, again, maybe one of the most improbable victories in Gamecock football history. Maybe, by any accounts. Last year, they were in a position to almost pull off a similar type miracle from 2-6. Got as close, just ran out of steam towards the end. So last year was the first year where the magic didn't happen. And you don't want to put yourself in positions like this. That's not where you would like to be. But I would say that aside from last year, Shane Beamer and company have proven that they can do a lot with a little. And that's something that as a fan, something that I would take maybe some solace in, that they're going to be prepared to play this year. He's proven that they can coach.
Yeah, I think to me, it's what tweaks, changes did you make to your strength and conditioning program into staying healthy? I know people are tired of hearing the 2 things I'm going to say. They're tired of hearing about injuries.
Yes.
Because that really even dates back to the Muschamp era of why do we have guys constantly getting injured? To which the point it became the meme of, like if it rained but it was sunny outside, it was Jeff Dillman's fault. Like anything that occurred on any sport, it was Jeff Dillman's fault. I get it that it is an excuse to an extent, but last year there was injuries to the offensive line. Now, was that because they weren't strong enough? Is that because they didn't train hard enough in the offseason? People didn't just get injuries, but kind of like they talked about, Casey Henry gets rolled up on in the first game. And that's the guy you're expecting to be your right tackle. He's gone. There were injuries that occurred. Jalen Nichols was expected to be your left tackle. He gets his leg torn up in the spring game. Things happened. Is it an excuse? Yes, to an extent. Is it also a reason to say, all right, this has got to be fixed, but I think it can be fixed. They should be better. Yes, and that's why, because to me it starts with the offensive line and that unit taking a massive, not a small, but a massive step forward. We'll continue talking about this, and we'll get into another area that has got to take a step forward, and that's the wide receiver room. No Xavier Legette to kind of hold you up this year. We'll talk about that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Pain from arthritis is just awful with bone-on-bone constant pain. It robs you of so many of the things that you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain, and I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your body's own healing properties and revitalize your joints so you can move again. So learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. So call for a free consultation at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
And for your Wednesday morning, things looking fairly decent on the highways. No significant slowdowns, no accidents that we have on the radar right now. So that's good news. Radar. Speaking of radar, no rain in the forecast for a couple days. Some clouds today, 87 for the high. Sunny Thursday and Friday, highs around 88, 89, something like that. We'll get into the weekend We're going to be in the low 90s. Then we pick up maybe just a few slight chances for an afternoon or evening thunderstorm. Right now, though, it's overcast and it's 73 on the early game.
$7:35. We get you up and get you going. Reminder, we have our ultimate season ticket giveaway. One winner will get season tickets to all South Carolina home football, baseball, women's basketball, and men's basketball games. And I tell you what, I'll be honest with you. If there's a year, Preston Thorne, to have all sports, women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, football, have tickets to every home game, this is really, I feel like, the year to do it. You look at football, and we're going to continue talking about this. Chris weighs in and says, pivotal year for South Carolina.
No doubt.
Pivotal year.
That's a good word. Pivotal is a great, strong word.
It said Beamer has to win to show recruits that his plan and vision is coming to fruition. Yeah, pivotal year. And you got a good home slate this year as well. Football will be a lot of fun. Look, I'm fired up for men's basketball. I was fired up the Friday after the NCAA tournament. After the loss in the NCAA tournament, I was ready to see what Lamont Paris puts together. Women's basketball is going to be a lot of fun with what they return this year. And, man, I think the excitement for Paul Maneri and the baseball program when we get to January and February is going to rival anything I've seen in about the last 12 years.
It feels like there's hope.
So there is no maybe athletic season 2024-2025 that is better to have.
That's a good point.
Season tickets to all football, baseball, women's basketball, men's basketball games. So you can get those. All you got to do is go and register 1075thegame.com. Click on the Ultimate Season Ticket 2.0 on our media reel. We will announce the 3 finalists, and then you just have to show up. You don't have to play in the golf tournament, but show up at the golf tournament at Charwood where we will announce the winner. And again, that is sponsored by the Men's Clinic at the Irmo Professional Center. Dr. Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic, big shout out to them for sponsoring this. But yeah, look, football, I don't know the word to use that I'm necessarily ready for right now. I don't know if excited is the word. Cautiously optimistic. That's 2 words. But there is a sense of, I don't know what's about to happen. Like, I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know what we're going to get from the offensive line. I don't know what we're going to get from Lenore Sellers. I don't know if the secondary is going to live up to what they're supposed to be. I don't know if I'll take it this far. I don't know if the schedule is as difficult as everybody's making it out to be. I'll go that far with it. One other thing I don't know about is the wide receivers. One guy who's kind of been coming on, and we'll talk a little bit about him, is Mazio Bennett. But, Jen, I tell you what, let's hear. This is Robbie Ashford yesterday talking about the progression of the wide receiver room. This is what Robbie Ashford had to say yesterday, speaking with the media regarding the progression of the wide receiver room.
It actually been real good for real. Like, a lot of people had a lot of doubt in us because we're undersized and stuff, and then you got new receivers and transfers that came in, but that didn't stop us from being undersized. We know we little and stuff, but with the size and speed that we got and the people that we got that came in as transfers, I think that we'll be good. Like, we're gonna shock a lot of people. So it's been good these last couple months.
So that actually was Tyshawn Russell talking about I tell you what, let's play that again. Let me set that back up. That is Tyshawn Russell, who, again, we'll talk about in just a second, but that is Tyshawn Russell, and he is talking about the wide receiver room. Now that you know it's Tyshawn Russell, let you listen to that again and take in what a wide receiver who's in the room is talking about.
It actually been real good for real. Like, a lot of people had a lot of doubt in us because we're undersized and stuff, and then you got new receivers and transfers that came in, but that didn't stop us from being undersized. We know we little and stuff, but with the size and speed that we got and the people that we got that came in as transfers, I think that we'll be good. Like, we're going to shock a lot of people. So it's been good these last couple months.
All right, that's a wide receiver talking about the room, Preston. I expect him to say good things. I don't expect him to be like, man, I don't know, we've been dropping balls and people don't know their routes. But what do you take away from Tyshawn Russell, a guy in that? By the way, I'm a big fan of Tyshawn Russell and what he could be. Not what he is, what he could be.
It seems that point of emphasis that they're all understand and are aware of who and what they are as far as their size and skill set is concerned. I have been a proponent of saying I like to have got different guys of different size, heights, and skill sets in a wide receiver room. This wide receiver room seems as if they are a lot of the similar type of guys, which is fine, but you just have to craft your offense to them. And as long as they're aware of what they can do, what their strengths and limitations are, it can work. What I'm curious to see, basically going back to what you just said, what I'm curious to see is how do they plan on implementing these wide receivers in their offense? And we don't really have an answer for that because they're essentially running a new offense than what they've run in the previous years.
Let's get a view from the quarterback's side of things. Now, Robbie Ashford, again, talking yesterday. This is what Robbie Ashford had to say as it pertains to the progression of the wide receiver room.
And they've come in and worked, too. They progressed a lot from the spring and, brought in new guys. And a lot of guys, they're just hungry. And they come in, just put in work, and they don't care about their size, and we don't care about their size. They know how to get open, and we got a lot of fast receivers, man. I think we got the fastest receiver room in the country, and we got a lot of guys that got burners. And when you put that with what we got in the backfield, and then we got guys that can go get the ball too. We got like Delvon Campbell, we just got him. He's a big body. I mean, Nick Harbor, those type of guys. We got those type of guys that go get the ball along with our speed guys. I mean, I'm really proud of them, man. Just all the criticism and everything they took, and they've come in and worked, and I know they're only going to get better. They want to get better. Coach Furry, he wants them to be great. And, I mean, when you have a good coach like that and one that's played the position for a really long time at the highest level, I mean, I think he teaches them a lot, and they come out and instill it on the field. And, man, I feel like you're going to be excited to see that receiving group. I mean, we got so many guys that can just go. So I feel like you're going to be really excited to see them. Them and this O-line, man, I feel like they're going to be really, really fun to watch. I know I keep harping on them, man, but they work their butts off, and I commend them for that.
Again, and I'm not being funny about this, everything's ultra positive. Hadn't played a game yet. Hadn't had a big drop in a game. At least if you go by what was said the other day, insiders, people that were there, or people that were allowed to be there or whatever, stuff being leaked out from the scrimmage, there was a big drop on a long touchdown pass. You can't have those. You can have burners. It's great that you're really fast. It's great that you're Nick Harbor and you're really tall, or you're tall and you're fast. Can you catch the football?
That is the number one skill that a receiver needs to have, and that's something
big part of receiving.
Sometimes you take this for granted because they run routes and they're very fast and they can do all these other things. But can they catch the ball and effectively move the chains when they have to? A couple things Robbie said, which also why I keep saying this. As much as everybody talks about they don't hear the other people outside talking, I don't think they actually do. They don't hear it because he's talking about all the criticism that the wide receivers have taken in. I don't know what message boards they're trolling on, or I'm not sure if there's been a lot of criticism. There's been a lot of questions, but questions aren't the same as criticism. We can't criticize them until we see them drop balls or not play. However, there have been rightful questions about whether or not they can compete at this level because guess what? None of them have competed at this level. So I think we as a society, maybe this even goes back to the Dion, this goes back in a lot of things. A question is not the same as criticism. I don't know where that gets twisted or confused. We hear a lot of the criticism things that people are saying. No, we're just asking questions because we haven't seen you play.
Right.
And so I think that is something that we have to understand.
I tell you what, Jen, can we play that? I'm going to cut it. I know we're very short on time. Alan weighs in with something I thought I heard too. Play that again from Robbie Ashford. Let's see if we can get to it before we got to hit the break.
It's actually been real good for real. Like, a lot of people had a lot of doubt in us.
Yeah, I tell you what, let's hit the break. Alan weighs in with something. I'm going to replay this. I'm not going to tell you what I thought I heard, but I thought I heard a name that didn't make any sense. And I'm going to replay this when we come back, and because I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me. And now Alan is waiting asking the same question. I'm going to replay this audio when we come back and let you hear if you hear the same name that Alan and I heard. Because I heard it and paused for a minute. Little tease there. You're going to want to come back and hear that. Let's see if we catch this correctly. At least two of us think we heard the same thing. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. That's right. If you've been having tax troubles, if you've received one of those dreaded notices from the IRS, go ahead. Call the Ecton Law Firm today. You need to get that free consultation that'll make sure the professionals at Ecton Law Firm get you taken care of. So go ahead, make that phone call, get a free consultation. Trust me, it'll be in your best interest. The Ecton Law Firm has helped thousands of families. Make sure that you are taken care of, that those families were taken care of. And whether you're here in Columbia, whether you're in Florence, whether you're in Myrtle Beach, the Ecton Law Firm is ready to help you get rid of those tax troubles. You want to live a stress-free life. You don't want to be worried about anything that the IRS may be doing to you. So again, give them a phone call and get that free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. Give them a phone call. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. For nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, and that's their history. It is your assurance that they will step forward and provide you the proper needs and services to your facility, whether it's a high-rise or a hospital, manufacturing or industrial. Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And they do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing has someone ready to take your phone call if you discover an issue with your roof. 803-356-1919. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee that, again, will help you with that maintenance contract. For more information, you can visit them on the web, midstateroofing.com. But give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. All right. We're going to play this again because I thought I heard something. A lot of you have texted in and weighed in now that you think you heard the same thing as I. A few of you said, no, he said something different. Because if he said what I think he said, it raises the question, is there another coach in Columbia? Let's play this. This is Robbie Ashford. Okay, this is the quarterback for South Carolina. I'm talking about wide receiver in the progression of the room. We're slightly joking here, but let's play this again, Jen, and let's all listen intently to who Robbie Ashford mentions as the wide receiver coach.
Too, they progressed a lot from the spring, and brought in new guys, and a lot of guys, they're just hungry, and they come in, just put in work, and they don't care about their size, and we don't care about their size. They know how to get open, and we got a lot of fast receivers, man. I think we got the fastest receiver room in the country, and we got a lot of guys that got burners. And when you put that with what we got in the backfield, and then we got guys that can go get the ball too. We got like Delvon Campbell, we just got him. He's a big body. I mean, Nick Harbor, those type of guys. We got those type of guys that go get the ball along with our speed guys. I mean, I'm really proud of them, man. Just all the criticism and everything they took, and they've come in and worked, and I know they're only going to get better. They want to get better. Coach Furry, he wants them to be great.
Okay.
He said Furry.
Sounded better that time, yeah. I'm with you. There was a lot of people that all of a sudden was like, yeah, he said Spurrier. But he said Furry, but I was not listening as intently.
That's called confirmation bias. Robbie Ashford is 21 years old. Coach Spurrier finished coaching in 2015.
Yeah.
That would have made him 12 years old. I would like to know if Robbie Ashford even knows who Coach Spurrier is.
Oh, man, that's going to make me feel old if he doesn't.
There's a very slight chance. Not even a slight. Solid chance he has no idea who Coach Spurrier is.
Let's not go down that path, because that will.
He's the elder statesman on the team.
That is not the direction to go. That'll make me feel great. By the way, just speaking of, if you haven't checked it out, starting today is what is called Tailgate Talks. It'll be Pat DeMarco and Steven Garcia, and we'll get Pat DeMarco back in here to talk about this. You can check it out on Gamecocks Plus. Pat DeMarco and Steven Garcia are going to do a podcast, basically, and one of their guests is going to be Steve Spurrier. And they actually have a funny, you can check it out on Pat DeMarco's Twitter page. You can go to Pat DeMarco 42 is where you can check that out. You can see them trying to get into buildings. And Preston, I think you would understand this. Pat DeMarco looks at Steve Spurrier. They're trying to get into the athletic facility. And Pat DeMarco looks at Spurrier. He's like, I can understand why they wouldn't let you in, but they should keep me in.
That's interesting.
So that's really cool, too. We talk about, like you, former Gamecocks being involved and whatnot. But, yeah, all right, we got that cleared up. As well. Coming up in the next hour, we'll get more into some different things. I do want to ask you about coaches helping you with injuries, maybe helping trick other people into injuries, since we've talked a little bit about this. And to give you, this is a great story from Jeff Francoeur that he told on a podcast about Bobby Cox allowing him to do something and fake an injury. And I'll let you listen to this story coming up in the next hour. That's really good. We'll get into that a little bit. And also, you want to get into Joe Milton is back?
He's back, baby. He's back. Joe Milton's back like he never left. Some of us have seen Joe Milton. We may have been, us as South Carolina fans, we might have been the first fan base to be privy to Joe Milton and his powers when we saw him in that fateful night against Tennessee. The rest of the country is finding out what maybe some of us thought, and then the rest of the country will find out what the Tennessee fans know pretty shortly here.
We will get into that coming up in the next hour. A reminder, we got a lot going on here over the next few days. Tomorrow, of course, Josh Harris will join us from Darlington Raceway, and we'll get into what occurred on Sunday evening. Preston, I don't know if you've had a chance to now really watch the video between Austin Dillon and Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. I look forward to that tomorrow. And then reminder, coming up on Friday, we will have former Blythewood high school basketball standout and current Chicago Bull Julian Phillips in studio as well for about 30 minutes from 8 to 8:30. He's got a basketball camp coming up over in Blythewood on August 24th, and excited to talk to him and also pick his brain about some NBA Olympic stuff and just being in the NBA. We've cut up about this, kind of like Bronny having to travel around with Dad. We'll get maybe some behind the scenes with Jillian Phillips on Friday, who will be in here from 8 to 8:30. And, of course, also on Friday, we will be joined by Chris Deering because, Preston, we're at about that time where it's high school jamboree season.
Jamboree season, baby.
So we've got a lot to get to.
Change the name of that.
Jamboree. I don't know why it's called the Jamborees, but no, I don't think there's a chance this
The
is.
jamboree.
It's just a weird name.
Always makes me think of the bears from Disney, the little.
Yeah, exactly. The Country Bears or something.
Yeah. That was a segment. We'll do more in the next hour.
Getting word there is a slowdown on I-26 eastbound around Harbison Boulevard, and it's backed up about a mile or so. Just a slowdown there. Again, I-26 eastbound somewhere in the vicinity of Harbison Boulevard. And as far as your traffic is concerned, that is your traffic. How special is that? How about let's talk about weather? Okay, 87 today, partly cloudy. Sunny tomorrow and Friday, highs in the upper 90s. Could see an afternoon or evening thunderstorm come Saturday and up to 91. But still, for being mid-August, we're pretty fortunate as far as the temperatures are concerned right now. 74 right now under cloudy skies.
Up and at 'em. Lord knows I hope you're up and at 'em, by the way, at 8 o'clock. Kids should be in school or on the way to school if they're not already. But we'll get you through another hour this morning, the Wednesday morning edition of the early game. I read this, Preston, earlier, this promo for the Ultimate Season Ticket giveaway. And let me remind you, you can sign up, go to 1075thegame.com. It is our Ultimate Season Ticket giveaway where one winner will get season tickets to all South Carolina home football. Again, home being the key word here. But football, baseball, women's basketball, men's basketball games. Again, go to 1075thegame.com and register. Click on the Ultimate Season Ticket 2.0 Media Reel. And what we will do is announce the 3 finalists, and they will need to show up. You don't have to play in the golf tournament, but they will have to show up at the summer golf tournament Friday, August 23rd at Charwood, where we will announce the winner. Again, thank you to the Men's Clinic at Irmo Professional Center for sponsoring this. But as I thought about this, and I read this out loud, Preston, because I think I have been so adamant, so staunch in my belief to not get hyped up for football season, to allow it to play out and see what they're going to show me, to see what this offensive line looks like, to see what the quarterback position, the wide receiver position, to see all these things, that I've been so staunch in allowing myself to get excited. And I think I slipped up once or twice, and you thought I was coming back over to the good side instead of the dark side, that I've almost not realized how much fun this athletic season could very well be when you look at the football and the unknown. And then you go to the men's basketball, and there's even a sense of an unknown, but an excitement of the unknown because you lose Talon Cooper and Michi Johnson, and you lost B.J. Mack. But men's basketball should be a lot of fun this year. Women's basketball is going to be competing for another national championship, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And then you circle back to baseball with Paul Maneri coming in, and Monty Lee and Terry Rooney and this whole staff they've got and what they've been able to build. I don't know. I can't sit here and predict what we're going to be saying at the end of April, or I guess I should say the end of May, counting in the baseball season, about the 24-25 athletic calendar for South Carolina. But it's really, really, really interesting to see what's in line right now.
To that point, I saw a video with Gamecock Baseball, and I don't know if this is their new slogan, but it said, it says develop and win. And it was just the run-of-the-mill pictures, montage things, but I watched the whole video. I would not have watched that video if it would have been under the previous regime as coaching staff. Not for anything that they did, but just because I wouldn't have been excited about what the possibilities were. And so to your point, yes, there are exciting possibilities. And that's all you really want as a fan. That's all you want as a fan going into a season is there's possibility. There's hope. There's a chance. We might win. That's all we need here. And you can say that across the board for the first time in a long time around here.
Look, again, and I'm just speaking to those sports. And by the way, I'll get into a few awards that at least South Carolina was named for. But, you look at the women's soccer team and Shelley Smith and what they've got going. I saw yesterday that they were picked very high up in the preseason SEC media awards. The men's soccer team is coming off of a 1-0 shutout of North Carolina State this past Saturday. They'll have another exhibition game coming up on Thursday, tomorrow, against College of Charleston over at the Graveyard, where it's free to the public. I don't know what it's going to be. And obviously we're talking a lot of football here, and we're talking quarterbacks, we're talking wide receivers, we've talked a lot of offensive line, Preston. But as I've gone into this conversation, and then I kind of can go back and read this promo, it's a great season to have season tickets, or a great athletic calendar year to have season tickets to all home events, because women's basketball, we know there is no unknown there with Dawn Staley and women's basketball.
We're good on that.
We're good. Men's basketball is exciting. It's maybe the most I've seen excitement for men's basketball since there was losses after the Final Four year that maybe dampened the spirits a little bit.
It deflated the spirit.
Yeah.
It definitely did. Those roster losses took what was a high and made us go into that season. We limped into the season after, which was a great loss for everybody involved. But you're right. We didn't feel a sense of excitement going into the next season, which we should have.
And because you've got Colin Murray Boyles back, Zach Davis, an in-state guy, now you add Cam Scott, who's coming in and by all accounts has looked very good and had a Nick Pringle, another in-state guy transferring in, and that's not counting some of the other guys. But it's a really, really exciting time for that. We'll talk more about it. One of the things we've talked a lot about this morning is Robbie Ashford talking yesterday to the media and us reading between the lines. Because as Preston and I were talking off air, and Terry Ford had stepped in here, we were talking off air about how it's been over there. And I think it's been great. I've said from January on, I don't want to see the videos. I don't want to see Full House or The Office or Hide and Seek and all that. Don't even show me the workout videos with great music behind it and guys, pumping weight and yelling and screaming. Just quietly go about your business. Quietly go about your business and show me on August 31st. And I think Shane Beamer's done an incredible job of that. Maybe to the point that I was telling you guys, I did a show yesterday out of Memphis, and they actually said it seemed like at Media Day, Coach Beamer was almost dejected, was almost defeated. I said, no, I think he's doing a great job of trying to keep his team humble, not trying to overhype anything, and just saying, we're going to show you on the field this coming fall.
Yeah, because what I mentioned off air was just it. You have to remind ourselves that the season is happening, that they're practicing over there. Normally, you getting reports, you getting buzz and hearing things, and you have not. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, and it's especially for these purposes of a team that's trying to get back to basics, focus, or a bounce-back season. Like they are over there working, we assume, and so that's really cool.
Yesterday, Robbie Ashford met with the media, and Jen, we'll play cut one here. One of the questions is how his relationship is with Lenore Sellers, because most of us believe, and the general line of thinking is Lenore Sellers is going to be the starting quarterback. Robbie Ashford comes in with one more season of football to play with his eligibility. So how is that relationship as they compete? Here's Robbie Ashford yesterday talking about his relationship with Lenore Sellers amid the quarterback competition.
We keep it fun in there. I'm the older guy, so I kind of look at Lenore as like little bro, and I was like, man, you're little bro. But, we just come out there, and we just try to have fun with the work. He's QB1 coming into it, and I respect that. He's been here. He's done what he needed to do, and it's just my job to just be able to help him and, be ready to play when my time's called, and I know I'll get it. So it's just doing that. But me and him, man, we got a great relationship. Really thankful for him. And he's just a young guy who's just wants to be great. And you love to work with guys like that. And then we can just joke around, have fun. We live in the same apartment complex, so it's like we're cool. And it's definitely been better than any other competition I've been in. A lot of competitions, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. But with this room and just what we've been doing, I haven't seen any of that. And it's just been a true brotherhood. And that's what you love to be in. So
2 things stand out as I re-listen to that. Number one, he openly admits Lenore Sellers is QB1.
Yes.
That is a great thing. He understands the role, understanding your role on the team in that quarterback room. 2, he then turned around and said something, I know I'll get my turn. He said, I just got to wait I got to wait my turn. But he said, I know I'll get it. Implying, and I tell you what, Jen, let's go to number 4. Let's play 4 from Robbie Ashford. Implying that it does seem like there is a plan in place to play multiple quarterbacks. And, Jen, let's let Robbie Ashford talk about that, playing multiple quarterbacks this season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's kind of just a coach thing. I don't really look too much into that because, that's not really my place or anything. I just try and go out there and just do what I can. And hopefully I do enough to be able to see the field. At the end of the day, who doesn't want to play? And, I always want to be on that field. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. Norris is going to do whatever it takes. And, at the end of the day, we're only making each other better. And, this is SEC. You never want to see injuries happen, but you always got to have a next man up mentality because you're one play away. Whoever the backup is, you're always one play away from being in the game. And, a lot of places when you don't have 2 quarterbacks ready, that's where a lot of teams get in trouble, and we've got 2 quarterbacks that are ready and another 3 guys that are ready on top of that. So I feel like it's just a recipe for success, and I feel like the coaches make the best decision, and I respect it regardless.
What do you got there?
Triggered a memory. We were doing team meetings way back when, and everybody was getting up and talking, telling their stories, and this is in reference to Robbie saying there's not a lot of weird stuff happening. there was a quarterback to be left unnamed, but he basically got up in front of the team and the coaches and said that he felt he should be playing quarterback, and he didn't know why he wasn't getting the reps that he deserved, and he had worked really hard.
Oh, no.
And
Not in public.
in public in front of the starting quarterback, who was Phil Petty at the time.
Oh, dear.
And everybody was looking like, that's strange. That's a weird thing to say in front of everybody. So when you have somebody openly admitting, hey, he's quarterback one, I respect that. Mm-hmm. There's no weird stuff going on here. That is a positive thing because, again, I just thought about this. This player eventually kind of became sort of outcasted from the group. I mean, he wasn't very popular amongst the team, but
the way to bring him down to the point is say, okay, who wants to start with the reasons? Let's go the top 10 reasons why. Yeah, bless him.
Yeah,
for thinking he could do that.
It was very. To use that, it was a very strange occurrence. And so, yes, strange things do happen in quarterback competitions, especially at quarterback, because only typically one person is playing and only one person is taking those snaps. So as long as that room is good, I feel pretty confident in that.
803-404-6100. We'll get into a little bit of national stuff, talk some NFL. J.J. McCarthy has broken Preston's heart. Joe Milton has uplifted Preston's heart.
No. He's uplifted somebody's heart.
Somebody's heart.
Somebody.
And Jeff Francoeur had a injury story that I'm going to let Preston listen to and see what he takes out of it when a coach agrees to let you go do something outside of the sport and even offers to help. I'll let you listen. I know you haven't caught this story.
Okay.
So I want to hear your as well. We'll get into some J.J. McCarthy, some Jeff Francoeur, and some Joe Milton when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market, where their business is built on the idea of providing a non-grocery store meat buying experience. That's right. And what I mean by that is, like, when I go into the Lexington store, Mr. Carl always sees me. He knows what I like. He knows my name. I know his name. He can offer me great ideas, things that they've added in the store, whether it's some incredible oysters like I got the other night, whether it's one of their incredible steaks, maybe it's some chicken skewers. That's how Old Timey Meat Market has built their business. So whether you visit the St. Andrews Road store in Irmo, the South Congaree, or you're like me and you go to the Lexington store, that's what makes Old Timey Meat Market stand out. Whether it's the incredible steaks, the fantastic chicken, maybe it's the exotic meats. Love me some good alligator tail. Old Timey Meat Market has got you taken care of. And with football season just around the corner, it's time for you to start practicing your tailgating. Get out to Old Timey Meat Market, South Congaree, St. Andrews Road to Lexington today, and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
And seeing just a little bit of a slowdown, I-26 eastbound, similar to what you see most mornings. It had gotten a little heavier around Harbison Boulevard, but things seem to be moving a little bit better now. And as far as your forecast goes, we're looking for a high today of 87 under some cloudy conditions, 88 tomorrow and Friday. The next chance for some rain could be popping in by Saturday when we hit about 91 for the weekend. But currently it's overcast and still kind of holding steady at 73 on the early game.
.19 as we roll along on your Wednesday morning. We'll be back into some football tomorrow, Preston Thorne. We'll get back into a little bit of football. NFL, we'll have a preseason game tomorrow evening, if you're into that kind of thing, which, yes, I am right now. I'm not saying I'm going to check out a whole bunch of it.
Who's playing?
It's Philadelphia at New England. A little more Drake May.
Or
the one and only Joe Milton.
Or Joe Milton.
There you go.
Joe Milton has made his way back into the spotlight because he can throw the ball fast and far. And everybody gets impressed when somebody throws the ball fast and they throw the ball far. Like Spencer Rattler has arm talent because he can throw the ball fast, far, and accurately. That seems to be the piece of the puzzle that Joe Milton is missing, is the accuracy part.
Oh, yeah. Great fastball. He's kind of like Charlie Sheen. He's Wild Thing in Major League.
He doesn't know exactly where it's going. And he's big and he's impressive. And it feels like New England Patriots are falling victim to what I think maybe Tennessee fans might have fallen victim to, maybe Michigan fans fell victim to the start. What I fell victim to when Hendon Hooker went out and I saw him come in the game, I was like, who's this kid? He's throwing the ball fast and far. Nothing ended up happening. Shout out to Joe. Hope everything works for him. But good for Joe, because I think he'll always have a job as long as he can throw the ball fast and far. I don't know if he'll ever actually be your team's quarterback, though.
The starter.
The starting quarterback.
Will he make it as a backup? Hey, Joe Milton.
I don't know.
Joe Milton against the Panthers. Sorry, there was the Panthers. But 4 of 6, 54 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. That's what he'll do.
He was throwing it fast, far, and at least semi-accurate against the Panthers.
He'll get some stuff on board where people be like, huh? What do you think about Joe? And then it just won't happen, I don't believe.
I mean, he's got that quarterback room is, boy, I mean, you got Drake May, Bailey Zappi, Joe Milton, and Jacoby Brissett go along with Drake May. There's a lot of guys in there.
Jacoby Brissett, the wily vet, working on our official tally of being a journeyman. I think if we was to line up Jacoby Brissett, I know the Colts, Patriots, Browns. Does he qualify?
I think you're leaving one out. Yeah, you left out last year.
Where was he last year?
He was in Washington. And the only reason I say that, you're officially, I don't care what it is, when I pull up your profile on ESPN.com and you're playing for the Patriots, but they still have you wearing a Commanders jersey, you're a journeyman. It can be two teams, but once you've hit that where your picture profile here is that of you in a previous jersey, your journeyman status at that point.
Shout out to you, Jacoby. You've made it.
Yeah.
You've made it. Long, prosperous life as and Jacoby's not necessarily a backup quarterback. He's sort of like a reserve quarterback. You know, he's always on the cusp.
He's a soft, comfy blanket.
He's always on the cusp. He might start here or there. Jacoby Brissett is the new Teddy Bridgewater.
That's a good point, yeah.
Same type of guy.
You're going to get his numbers, his best seasons, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Cleveland, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. You're going to get about a 2 to 3 to 1 number. I mean, again, he threw for 3,000 yards that first year in Indianapolis, where he had 13 and 7, completed 58% of his passes. I mean, It's not those new blankets that are electric or anything like that. It doesn't come with all the bells and whistles, the technology. It's just when you look over, it's on the couch, and you're like, I've had some good times with this blanket.
It's probably
it's going to keep me warm.
Yeah, he's probably a great locker room guy. It's like, Jacoby, come on in, man. We need a reserve quarterback here.
So, Jacoby Brissett, journeyman status is when you go 2021 with the Dolphins, 2022 with the Browns, and 2023 with the
year by year
Commanders, and he's in New England for year 4, completing the circle of life because he started his first year with the Patriots as well.
Nice. Congratulations to you.
There is that. I want you to listen to this interview, Preston Thorne. So, spring training baseball. Now we're hitting the back end of baseball, mid-August. We'll do our Chop Talk segment tomorrow, but spring training baseball is a very odd thing. It's kind of like preseason football, but in preseason football, I feel like they're very serious. There's no days off. There's nothing like what you're about to hear that would occur in preseason football. This is Jeff Francoeur. He was doing a podcast, and I always like Jeff Francoeur. I think he's a guy that a lot of us remember because he committed to play football at Clemson as a safety and then ended up following his career path in baseball with the Braves. Now, I want you to listen closely. He is talking about a preseason game, a training camp game early on with the Braves. He's very young. You'll hear him explain all this. And then I just want you to hear how this all kind of goes down. He's also going to be mentioning former Braves manager Bobby Cox. Here's Jeff Francoeur on a podcast talking about taking a day off.
I've been lucky enough. I've met President Bush, President Obama. I was not nearly as starstruck as I was when I met Tiger Woods for the first time. But what the coolest Bobby Cox story is, guys, is Bobby during spring training loved us to play golf, loved this. We were playing the Yankees at 1 o'clock on a day game. And I was 22 years old. I had been playing for 3 months as a starter. I was not going to go up to Bobby and be like, hey, I need the day off, right? But he comes out to stretch and goes, Smoltzy said you had a chance to play with Tiger today. There was a 150 tee time. And I'm like, Bobby, I'm fine. I'm playing today. He goes, no, I'll make you a deal. He said, after your first at bat today, run through first base and kind of rub your ankle a little bit like you hurt your ankle. And he's like, in 2 days, we're going to Bradenton. And Tim, you have to have 3 starters make a road trip.
Sure.
And he's like, I hate Bradenton's infield. I don't want to get any of the guys hurt. So if you go to Bradenton, I'll let you go play with Tiger today. So sure enough, man, we're playing the Yankees, 13,000 people in Orlando. I ground out the first at bat. I run through first and I start, rubbing my ankle. And, Bobby, he waddles out there with his cleats. And he checks on me. I run inside. I literally throw my golf clothes on. I didn't shower. I get to the golf course, and they're on the first fairway. So I hit my tee shot. We end up playing 27 holes. And about 4:30, my wife sends me a little thing that there was an update that said Francoeur day-to-day with a high ankle sprain.
There's so many great parts to that story.
Shout out to Bobby Cox, man. First and foremost, always want to hear those types of stories. But being the old, wise veteran, understanding the gravity of the situation.
Mind you, he's the wise veteran. As Francoeur said, he's 22. He's only been named a starter for the 3 months, basically off season.
Yeah, he doesn't understand how those things work. So Bobby had to walk him through this process and get him to the other side, man. That's what you need a veteran leadership in there for. It's a good story. That's a great story, actually.
I saw that yesterday. Obviously, as you just mentioned, a great story. That was on Tim Kurkjian, his podcast there. But yeah, really cool. Lou Holtz ever would have allowed that? The old wily veteran,
Nah, not quite the same. Not quite the same. We did have a thing called pulling a big man, and shout out to my vet, Cleveland Pinckney.
Okay.
Cleveland was known to perhaps pull a hamstring or ankle or knee when practice was about to get a little rough.
Uh-huh.
Chuck, my knee. And he might pull himself out and everybody else would have to go take his reps and he'd go stand by Charlie Strong and they would just talk with each other. So, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a little bit of an understanding.
And I'm guessing that was where Holtz would look over and be like, okay, he can play.
Yeah. Nobody's going to say anything about Cleve not playing.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No, I thought we should hear that this morning. Now, that's one kind of injury. The other one that has brought Preston down, Joe Milton's brought his heart up a little bit, or maybe the Patriots.
I'm just telling Patriots, just buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Okay,
just
slapping a sticker on there.
That's it. Slap a sticker on there, buyer beware.
There's no guarantee on the box on Joe Milton.
Correct.
Maybe a guaranteed piece of, oh, yeah, Tommy boy.
It might be something along those lines. Just slap a sticker on there. But the other story, though, Bill, is that my guy, J.J. McCarthy, has to have surgery on his torn meniscus. We were led astray. We thought it was just a sore knee, and now we're coming back and finding out that it's a torn meniscus. While this is devastating for all of us in the J.J. McCarthy hive, this is good news for me because now I'm not contractually obligated to become a Vikings fan.
Yeah, for one more season.
I can hold off on my Vikings fandom until JJ straps up in a regular season game.
Okay. So, yeah, JJ, if you didn't see it yesterday, the news, injuries not just in college, but JJ McCarthy, who may have actually been destined to be the starter, if not by week 1, probably by week 3 or 4. Like, that train was coming down the tracks pretty quickly on Sam Darnold. And now Sam Darnold went home last night, find out the news, was like, all right, I got at least about 6 games in me here to show what I can do. This is good news.
Yeah, and also he doesn't have the pressure of having the rookie breathing down his back and everybody saying, put old JJ in.
Yeah.
So now they're just going to have to be suffering with Sam. So we'll see how that goes. But I would not want to be going into a season with my Sam Darnold as my starting quarterback.
Yeah, and that's why Preston has now dropped his.
That's why it would be tough to be a Vikings fan right now, but I'm not.
His Viking fan there. But we'll get into it's going to be story time with Preston Thorne. Earlier we talked about what happens at the bottom of piles in football. Preston Thorne has a story. Stick around for that.
It's one of my favorites.
Story time with Professor Thorne. When we come back, it is the early game. Love Chevrolet, the incredible dealership that's taking care of me and my families right over in Irmo, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. And they understand right now the lazy days of summer and the spontaneous adventures, well, they're still going on. That's right. They don't just end. And right now, they're ready to help you enjoy those spontaneous adventures with a new car, truck, or SUV. But they don't just sell you one. They offer you the absolute best price of anywhere here in the Midlands. That's right. The absolute best price. And that includes the $1,000 low price guarantee, which means you can shop other dealerships, take it back to the folks that love Chevrolet, and they will top it. And not only do they offer an incredibly low price, they also offer you the absolute best selection of vehicles anywhere in the Midlands. 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from. That's exactly why I love the folks at Love Chevrolet, because of what they offer. So get out to Love Chevrolet today, and together, let's drive.
Still showing it's a little bit congested there on I-26 eastbound, heading around Harbison Boulevard or so. We're not really getting any reports of accidents at this point. And cloudy and 87, that's kind of what we're anticipating as far as your forecast goes today. And should see the sun coming back out tomorrow and Friday with highs around 89. We might hit about 91 for the weekend, but might see a pop-up shower or a thunderstorm throughout the weekend. Currently, it is overcast and still kind of holding steady temperature-wise. It is 73 on the early game.
.835 as we get rolling this morning here. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. I say get rolling because it feels like as we hit the midway point, really, of preseason camp. And Preston mentioned it earlier. It's been quiet over there, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing. They'll have another scrimmage on Saturday afternoon over there at Williams-Brice Stadium, closed to the public. But this is a good thing, Preston. I think that it has been quiet and that camp, I get it when people get annoyed and like, I want to know more. I need to know what were the stats for Lenora Sellers. And again, I covered them with thebigspur.com when you would show up and poor old Steve Fink would have to be over there like actually writing down all the stats and come back and be like, oh, Garcia was 15 of 17 this scrimmage. Connor Shaw was 9 of 14, whatever. So-and-so had this many carries for that many yards, and then you'd report them all and everybody would be like, oh, wow. Oh, that looked really good. I'm really excited about that stat, in a scrimmage. Steve Spurrier was open about it, and I have no problem with Shane Beamer being as closed off as he wants to be this fall and not allow for information to leak out.
Well, I do not like that. I don't like it as a whole in college football. I think there should be more transparency, and I'm not sure we're not hiding state secrets. But that being said, all of the extracurricular videos, hype, blah, 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 we don't need any of that. And so it is very interesting that just the tone and the tenor seems to be a more straightforward business-like approach as opposed to a team that was trying to garner and create hype. This team seems like they're just focusing on whatever the mission. I don't know what that means. I don't know whether that means that they think they're good. I don't know what that means. It just seems like that is the tenor of around the team this year.
I think there's a level of trying to protect your players. I mean, I don't know if Shane Beamer knows what he necessarily has right now. There are questions, obviously. Look, you're throwing a first-time quarterback out there. I take all the blame. You can just throw all the blame on me. Everything. Just put the blame on me, everybody, for having a few beverages during or pre-football games and Lenora Sellers rolling right against Furman and dropping a dime, just an absolute dime into the breadbasket of Tyshawn Russell against Furman. And then I take full blame for, again, all the hype I created with tweets when against Vanderbilt in the rain, Vanderbilt basically having given up. Lenora Sellers weaving through the Vanderbilt defense, kind of like a varsity player against the 9th grade team with zero problem at all. And getting excited again because of pregame tailgating and putting out a tweet. I put out that tweet last year and said this might be the most hyped start for a player that there's ever been. Jadeveon Clowney didn't start against East Carolina. We were excited to see him. Connor Shaw, I don't know. Marcus Lattimore, remember, if people remember that Marcus Lattimore, I don't think he started against Southern Miss, but if people remember how that went down, there was a lot of people over there in the parking lot. Again, I was working for thebigspur.com who weren't sure Marcus Lattimore was going to be eligible for that game. Like, there was some questions about some eligibility things that had happened. It was very minuscule, but he ended up playing, and I think he had 54 yards in that game. It was the next week where Marcus Lattimore introduced himself to the University of South Carolina fans and to the national stage against Georgia. Sellers has had a year to hype himself, or not hype himself as in him doing it. He's had a year for us to see basically two massive highlights, Furman and Vanderbilt, but the 31st is going to be a very interesting experience with him getting the full game.
You just triggered it. You've been triggering memories today because I thought of a very hyped freshman that did start in Demetrius Summers.
Yeah.
And he was promised the first carry, and that was part of the recruiting pitch, and everybody was super excited about that.
That's a good point.
Everybody except the other running backs in that room who were not so happy about this freshman, who was very good, by the way, coming in and basically being promised a position and ended up getting to that position. And there was talking about the theme that we've been talking about, division throughout the team. There was division amongst the team around whether or not this new guy should come in and automatically get these carries as opposed to the players who had already been there, especially Kenny Irons at the time, who ended up transferring and playing very well at Auburn, but he didn't feel like he was getting a fair shake, and there was arguments to be made either way. So we talking about like the way that position competitions happen. That was one. And again, I point to that 04 team or whatever year that was, culture not very good. There was 03, 04. That was going to be an issue with that particular team. And it did cause division amongst the team. So, yeah, what Robbie Ashford has been saying all day, talking about, things are good, everybody's moving in the right direction, that's not something to take for granted because there are opportunities where that might not happen.
We've discussed that a good bit this morning, and we'll get more into defense tomorrow as the defense players will speak today. One other thing we've talked about is injuries in the college game right now that's taking place. Texas losing another running back. They're down to 3 scholarship running backs. Oklahoma losing a wide receiver that was expected to contribute this coming season. And another one that at least I think is pertinent to South Carolina fans, Kentucky losing what they expected to be their running back, Chip Trainum. Now, he's not out for the season, mind you, but he is expected, keyword here, expected, Preston, to potentially miss the opener and the second game after breaking his hand. This led us down a path. Preston says, well, if he comes back and plays the game, his hand's probably not fully healed. Maybe accidentally, just totally on accident, it gets stepped on. And now that led us down a path of what happens in piles, whether it's a loose ball or a tackle, and you have a story.
I was just saying that one time I found myself on the bottom of a pile.
Oh no!
And I was down there as it's a strange place. It was a lot of bodies, a lot of heat, a lot of sweat, and I was face to face with an opponent. And when we tried to get up and move, we found out that our helmets were connected, because they used to have the old bull ring on the top of the helmet, and my helmet was connected in his. But it was connected in a way that I could manipulate our movement. I could manipulate our movement. And so I just kind of kept rolling over. And every time I would roll my body a little bit to the right, he'd just like, ah! And the ref was trying to say, like, hey, 94, stop. And I was like, I'm trying to get up. And I knew I had him by his helmet. And I just kept rolling around. And you could just hear him just, ah! And eventually I unhooked my helmet and stopped rolling because the ref came and got me. But it's one of my favorite football memories.
Wow. He seems like just kind of docile and just very nice. But yeah, you put a helmet on him. Preston could be a little beastie.
It's one of my favorite memories. Because I was just rolling, and because I knew I had them locked, and I just could just.
Hey, I'm saving you a chiropractic
like a
visit.
tourniquet, just.
Yeah, I'm helping you. A little spinal twist. That's healthy for the spine.
That's all it was.
Yeah, stretch it out.
The end.
All right, kids.
Bill's a little nervous.
Here's what we've learned today, or what we've learned through 7 years of being around Jen. Jen's kind of violent, too. Nerf guns, slapping, kicking. You've heard all that. You're well aware of that. So Jen's kind of violent. You have also now just learned that Preston, if you get locked up in an awkward position, has no problem potentially working on a chiropractic visit for you.
I was trying to get up.
I just want to mention that I have never hurt anybody.
Physically.
That's true. If we're having a vote, I am the nice, sweet, huggable member of the early game.
Oh, look at the time. We got to hit a break. Hard break right here.
You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where the owner, founder Larry Leitner and his team, they think about your roof 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And let's be honest, the odds of you thinking about your roof, even when we've been getting these heavy summer thunderstorms, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the odds of you thinking about it that much, probably not true. You got other things you got to worry about. But at Mid-State Roofing, that's what they pride themselves on, is being prepared to put you in a maintenance contract, help you out with any roofing needs you possibly have to get. And let's be honest, when you need someone, you want them there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's exactly what Mid-State Roofing does. You can give them a phone call. Doesn't matter if it's midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 803-356-1919. Again, 803-356-1919 is how you can get in touch with them. Whether it's an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee, they are there to help you with your roofing needs. So make that phone call today. And again, tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Reminder, get signed up for our Summer Golf Classic. You need to call Charwood today, 803-755-2000 for more information. But call out, get your foursome signed up. We'll be raffling off Gamecock season football tickets. Of course, we'll be doing our ultimate Gamecock season ticket giveaway. But we will also have Preston Thorne hitting the ceremonial opening tee shot. Always a lot of fun. And that will be Friday, August the 23rd out at Charwood. Preston and I will be broadcasting from out there, so if you want to come out, even if you're not playing, hang around a little bit, maybe pop on air with us. We'll be getting ready for that huge Florida State-Georgia Tech game. Seminoles a 12.5-point favorite over in Dublin, Ireland on the Saturday afterwards. But we'll be getting you ready for all that. Also, that afternoon, if you want to come out and kind of rep your high school, it'll be, I have to ask, I don't know if that's week 0. I know Chris Deering, who will join us this Friday, disdains week 0. Not much gets to Chris Deering. Week 0 does. But, yeah, if you want to come out and join us, that is next Friday, August the 23rd, out at Charwood Golf Club. Go ahead, get signed up today. Get your foursome in. Come out, let's talk some football. Shoot, talking about the ultimate season ticket giveaway. We'll talk some basketball, too, if you want, because, again, Lamont Parrish's team, they're going to be exciting to watch. Dawn Staley's is going to compete for another national championship, and we can even talk Paul Maneri and the baseball team as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. That is next Friday, August the 23rd. Go ahead, get registered today. Get your team in, 803-755-2000. Call it the Charwood Golf Club. Our great friends, Rock and Daniel Lucas, and look forward to hanging out with them next week. It wouldn't be a show, Preston Thorne, if we didn't do just a little offensive line talk.
Of course.
We've talked quarterbacks. We've talked receivers. Let's let you listen. Cason Henry. This will be the first time I've ever heard from Cason Henry, by the way. I don't know what to expect here. He's stayed healthy so far. This is him talking yesterday about the offensive line's performance in last Saturday's scrimmage.
I thought we came out and we looked very comfortable on the field, and I thought it was good that we meshed together really well on the field. I thought the run game was really explosive, and I thought we did good in the pass game as well. And I thought that there was not a lot of skill drop-off between the groups when we went out, like we rotated groups and stuff. I thought everybody played well together, and I was really impressed with how we did overall.
Bothers me. I want my offensive lineman to sound gruff. I don't want it to make a lot of sense. He sounds very articulate. He sounds like a very nice guy.
Sounded like Coach Henry.
A lot of. I feel like a lot of ma'ams and sirs when he's around adults. I want somebody who's like, hey, we block hard.
He articulated that pretty well. Let's hear what else he has to say.
One question everybody's got: is there a set starting five? Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, we rotate a lot. I mean, that's kind of Lonnie's philosophy is we want to get a lot of guys in. We want to get a lot of younger guys experience, like Josiah, Cam, guys like that. We wanted to get a lot of reps. We also want to get the older guys reps as well. But, I mean, yeah, we rotate a lot. It's not as they say, we don't have a definitive starting five yet. We're still working in camp. We got like A group, B group, C group. Guys rotate from B to C, A to B, stuff like that. So it's not a set five yet.
I've never played offensive line. I've never coached offensive line. I don't even worry about the offensive line on EA Sports College Football 25. I don't like that answer.
Which part of the answer did you not like?
Let's get 5 and go.
Okay.
Let's get 5 and go. You know what you got. Now, Josiah Thompson was here in the spring. Get 5 and let's let them. You've talked time and time about chemistry. Those 5 have to be on the same page. Get them and go. And if somebody then really is not good, that's fine. Then sub somebody out. If there's a guy on the second group, I feel like that's a problem. There's no ability to develop chemistry in that.
Well, we've had offensive linemen talk all the time about how important the need is for chemistry and how important it is for you to be playing with somebody for long periods of time. But he also hinted that was Lonnie's philosophy as far as how they're doing things, Lonnie and the rest of the staff. So I think that might be a philosophical thing that they're doing.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I've listened to you talk. I've listened to other people who've come in here, John Strickland. So maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but I don't like that in terms of continuity and chemistry. Get your 5, and then if somebody gets beat out, if somebody on the second team is playing better, then go, okay, we're gonna bump you up. But I feel like at this point, those 5, based on what you've told me in the past and how I kind of view the offensive line, they need to spend the next 17 days. Those 5 playing together so that they can look at each other, not have to say a word, and they go, I know what he's doing on this play.
The offensive line is a unit, and sometimes that unit is not consist of the better pieces. The sum is greater than the parts, I guess, and when you're looking at that as far as the offensive line is concerned. And so there may be some people who are more skilled or more talented that can play different positions and combinations, but to me, and I think what you're saying is you have to have a group that works well together. I
feel like that's a big thing I've learned from you as it comes to offensive lines, John Strickland included, in our time doing this, that those offensive lines have, again, you got your center in Rashawn Lee who's going to call stuff out. We'll talk more about it. The other thing is somebody like I haven't seen what Case and Henry looked like doing that interview. I hope there was a lot of eye black. I want to see just a little blood on him. I don't want my offensive linemen to sound like choir boys. Also, he called him Lonnie. Red flag. We'll revisit that. Coach Teasley, you better check that. We'll revisit all that tomorrow. We got a lot to get to as we go through. It's like calling your parents by their first name. Not acceptable. There's your end of the show. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. And right now, hey, the weather, you heard Jen this morning, weather right now, that's all right. It's not bad at all, actually. You can kind of get by. But you know what? You know September's coming, and there are going to be days that air conditioner plays a huge role in your life, plays a huge role in your kids' life as well when they come home from these practices. Don't let any issue stop you from having a great air conditioner right now. Roy and Dana Finley with AAA Heating and Air, they want to make sure you understand that right now when you purchase a brand new heating and air unit in August, you will not pay a penny until August of 2025. Keep that in mind. That's right. You can get a free replacement estimate, and when you purchase a brand new heating and air unit, you will not pay a penny until August of 2025. That's right. Go ahead. Make that phone call today, 803-677-1500. AAA Heating and Air was out to my house just about a week and a half ago. Did a great job. I highly recommend them and their professionalism. Give AAA Heating and Air a call today, 803-677-1500.